Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Virayet. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st Canto, Chapter 8, Prayers by Queen Kunti, Text 24. 23. Yata Hrishikesha Kalena Devaki Kamsena Rudati Chiram Sucharpita Vimochitaham Cha Sahatmaja Vibhutrayaiva Natena Muhurgipadganat Yatha as it were. Hrishikesha, the master of the senses. Kalena, by the envious. Devaki, the mother of Shri Krishna. Kamsena, by King Kamsa. Rudha, imprisoned. Atichiram, for a long time. Sucharpita, distressed. Vimochita, released. Ahamcha, also myself. Sahatmaja, along with my children. Vibho, O great one. Faya eva, by your lordship. Natena, as the protector. Muhu, constantly. Vipadgana, from a series of dangers. Translation in purport by His Divine Grace Abhaya Charan Ravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. O Hrishikesha, Master of the senses and Lord of Lords, you have released your mother Devaki, who was long imprisoned and distressed by the envious King Kamsa, and me and my children from a series of constant dangers. Purport. Devaki, the mother of Krishna and sister of King Kamsa, was put into prison along with her husband Vasudeva because the envious king was afraid of being killed by Devaki's 8th son, Krishna. He killed all the sons of Devaki who were born before Krishna. But Krishna escaped the danger of child slaughter because he was transferred to the house of Nanda Maharaj, Lord Krishna's foster father. Kunti Devi, along with her children, was also saved from a series of dangers, but Kunti Devi was shown far more favor because Lord Krishna did not save the other children of Devaki, whereas he saved the children of Kunti Devi. This was done because Devaki's husband Vasudeva was living, whereas Kunti Devi was a widow and there was none to help her except Krishna. The conclusion is that Krishna endows more favor to a devotee who is in greater dangers. Sometimes he puts his pure devotees in such dangers because in this condition of helplessness, the devotee becomes more attached to the Lord. The more the attachment is there for the Lord, the more success is there for the devotee. O Hrishikesha, Master of the senses and Lord of Lords, you have released your mother Devaki, who was long imprisoned and distressed by the envious King Kamsa, and me and my children from a series of constant dangers. So we know that Krishna appeared in this. He appeared in two places, in Vrindavana and in Mathura simultaneously. But here in this particular purport, Sri Prabhupada speaks about Krishna who appeared, this Krishna that appeared in Mathura, in the prison house, in the prison of Kamsa. So just imagine, these are the greatest devotees who are so qualified that they are the father and mother of Krishna, Devaki, Vasudeva, Nanda and Yashoda. And just imagine what kind of life they had. They had to live in prison for a long time, and they were just living there. And they were having their children in the prison. And Krishna arranged such a life for his parents. So this shows that Krishna consciousness is something very, very different from the materialistic, the religion, dharma. Dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. So we perform dharma. People like to do pious activities, religious activities, because they will attain money, and then they will enjoy their senses. But Krishna consciousness is something beyond this. It aims at establishing a pure and intense loving relationship with Krishna. So it doesn't matter what are the situations or the positions, and just we can try to think what were the level of those devotees who are ready to go through such life, living in prison, in fear of this evil demoniac king, and still they wanted to have Krishna as their son. They were ready to go through all these hardships. And these are not just some kind of just some devotees. These are the most advanced devotees. Of course, the devotees from Vrindavan are even more advanced. So the pastimes of Krishna are real. They are not. When we read them, we should try to think like this. Well, this actually happened to these people, these devotees. They actually had to go through this. It's not just this is the real life here in our world, and these are just some stories. It's the other way around. And in 10th canto, there is a description how different devotees from Mathura, from Krishna's close circle, some of them, they actually had to flee. They had to leave Mathura when Kamsa came in power. So they decided, okay, it's too much. Now it's time to go somewhere else and wait for the moment when Krishna will appear and kill this demon. But some devotees, they decided to stay. They didn't care. Okay, we'll stay here and we'll suffer this stupid demon, his obnoxious activities. But we want to witness. We want to be here when Krishna appears. This is real life stories. The point is that in order to take part in these pastimes of Krishna, the devotees, they had to sacrifice a lot. Many of them were eternal associates, some of them were demigods, but all of them, it's a real thing. They had to take choices, they had to decide what to do now. Kamsa was a real demon, a big time demon. He defeated all other demons. So it's very dramatic situation. And later in the purport, Sri Prabhupada explains that Krishna is more, says the conclusion is that Krishna endows more favor to a devotee who is in greater dangers. So that's another interesting thing that these two, I remember Prabhupada writes in one purport that peaceful life, easy life, and advancement in Krishna consciousness, they don't go very well together. Somebody once was glorifying one devotee in front of Prabhupada. Oh, this devotee, he's very nice devotee, he's very peaceful, he's very he does this, he does everything in very orderly manner, he's very regulated. And then Prabhupada listened and he was appreciative, of course, but then in the end he said, well, in order to really to become advanced devotee, one has to be a little crazy. To take sometimes maybe not even little, more risks for Krishna. So these are basically two choices we have. Do we want to be just very nicely established in Sattva Guna? If we're in Sattva Guna at all, I mean that's also very elevated position. Just to have our sattvic life. Srila Prabhupada writes in one purport that I think from first canto, that again and again there are these people, materialistic people who are, but they are very much influenced by Sattva Guna, and they are born again and again in families of great musicians or professors from university or different types of scholars, and they have this nice life, they're brought in this environment and they're very regulated. They have, as it is described in Bhagavad Gita, Sattva Guna gives two things, knowledge and happiness. They have this knowledge and happiness because they realize I'm in a superior position. And it's not just according to their mentality, to their speculations, but it's according to Krishna's criteria from Bhagavad Gita. Sattva Guna is higher than Rajas and higher than Tamas. So again and again they can be born like this in such nice families and have nice life, as much as possible in the material world. It can never be nice, but some high standard. And then they take birth again and again in such families. So this is one possibility for a devotee. He or she, they might decide that I just want my peaceful life. I'll be devotee, I'll chant, I'll follow the principles, but the most important thing is my peace. I want to be left alone as much as possible. And but this is not so conducive for rapid spiritual advancement. And the other choice is, let me take some risks, some disadvantage, some sacrifice for Krishna's sake. Like Srila Prabhupada used to say, just one life, give one life to me. You had so many lifetimes before. And in the future also you can have unlimited lifetimes. You can just enjoy your senses as much as you can. But this lifetime, just please give it to me. Give it to Krishna. So sometimes the disadvantage of this too sattvic, too much conditioned by Sattva Guna, devotees is that they don't want to take the risk for spreading the mission. They want their peaceful life. Because preaching means trouble. You take trouble. Volunteer. You go out on the street and meet all these people. Why I have to do that? Let them go to hell. What do I care? I want my peace. If they're so stupid, let them just suffer. But this is not the best possible mode for devotee. Like in Bhagavad Gita, there is this verse where Krishna says that the greatest yogi, he sees happiness and distress that are equal to everybody. All living entities suffer and rejoice in the same way, like he is doing. So, on this basis, he is very compassionate. And in one of these verses, I think this famous prayer by Queen Kunti, let these calamities happen again and again. Yeah, I think it's coming. This is not desire for suffering, some weird mental state. Like people nowadays, Kali Yuga is so advanced already that people some people seem to take pleasure in hurting themselves, like physically, voluntarily inflicting pain. This is not this type of mentality. It is just again the same choice. Do we want peaceful life in the material world or in heaven without problems, without Krishna also, Krishna will be there of course, but he won't be present so intensely in our life? Or do we prefer Krishna to be to feel his presence, to be with him, but also to have all these hardships? So this is the choice. And Queen Kunti, she prefers to have the Krishna association and difficult life instead of having just peaceful life without Krishna. That's her choice. So let's see what will be our choice. But it's also natural. If you love really so much somebody, then it's natural. You go for it. Okay, I don't care, whatever. I have to tolerate, but I just want to be with you. That's all I want. Like Arjuna, when he had this choice to take Krishna's army or Krishna, he chose Krishna. Hare Krishna. So shall we read another verse?
Yes.
Okay. Text 24. My dear Krishna, your lordship has protected us from a poisoned cake, from a great fire, from cannibals, from the vicious assembly, from suffering during our exile in the forest, and from the battle where great generals fought. And now you have saved us from the weapon of Ashwatthama. Purport. The list of dangerous encounters is submitted herein. Devaki was once put into difficulty by her envious brother. Otherwise she was well. But Kunti Devi and her sons were put into one difficulty after another for years and years together. They were put into trouble by Duryodhana and his party due to the kingdom, and each and every time the sons of Kunti were saved by the Lord. Once Bhima was administered poison in a cake. Once they were put into the house made of shellac and set fire. And once Draupadi was dragged out and attempts were made to insult her by stripping her naked in the vicious assembly of the Kurus. The Lord saved Draupadi by supplying an immeasurable length of cloth, and Duryodhana's party failed to see her naked. Similarly, when they were exiled in the forest, Bhima had to fight with the mean-eater demon, Hidimba Rakshasa, but the Lord saved him. So it was not finished there. After all these tribulations, there was the great battle of Kurukshetra, and Arjuna had to meet such great generals as Drona, Bhishma, and Karna, all powerful fighters. And at last, even when everything was done, when everything was done away with, there was the Brahmastra released by the son of Dronacharya to kill the child within the womb of Uttara. And so the Lord saved the only surviving descendant of the Kurus, Maharaja Parikshit. So it's a list of favors of mercy given by the devotee. Devotee in this case, Kunti. She remembers all this. Like it is said that Krishna never remembers anything. Krishna never forgets anything that is done by his devotees for him as a service. So in the same way, we are supposed not to forget and always remember all the mercy that we have received from Krishna. Okay, all of us should make such list. What Krishna did to save us. He did so much, and the devotees also. How Krishna came in our life, how we were attracted by him, by the devotees. Because so many people we meet on the street and they're not attracted. are not attracted by Krishna, so they just go away. Well, we were attracted, so this is Krishna's mercy, and then this intoxicating nectar of Krishna consciousness, which we all experienced. All this, then how merciful were the devotees to us, how the spiritual master appeared in our lives, and he gave us his mercy, etc., etc. So we're supposed to remember these things and to be grateful. In order to be grateful, one should be humble. If one is proud, then he cannot be grateful. He always thinks that, or she, that he deserves much more, or she. So, thank you very much. So, somebody wants to say something?
We tend to forget easily the mercy that we have received.
We tend to forget easily the mercy that we have received. And we don't forget the insults that yeah, it's supposed to be the other way around. So we're supposed to be very forgiving and also very grateful. That's why we have this the example of the great devotees. So we see how Kunti Devi, what is her mood. She's making this list, you did so much for us, you did this and this. Supposed to try to emulate this mood of the great devotees. Tulsi Prabhu once met a person on Sankirtan, and he told him, because they had some nice conversation, I think he took a book or something, and then the person in the end, he told him, look, I will tell you one thing, one lesson from life I learned. If you see an ungrateful personality, run away. Don't ever associate with this person. Because whatever you do, he will turn it against you. No matter how much sacrifices and favors and service you render to him, he will find a way to turn it against you. So we shouldn't be this type of personalities, ungrateful. We try to be grateful. Okay? Something else? Granth Rachimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Pramanande.